The Grumman F6F Hellcat was the Blue Angels' very first aircraft, chosen in 1946 when the team was founded by Admiral Chester Nimitz. A World War II veteran fighter, it had destroyed more enemy aircraft than any other Allied plane. The Blue Angels flew it for just months before upgrading, but it gave the team its identity and proved aerial demonstration flying could inspire a post-war nation rebuilding its military pride. The Grumman F8F Bearcat was flown by the Blue Angels from 1946 to 1949, replacing the Hellcat as their signature propeller aircraft. Incredibly fast and agile for a piston engine plane, it was the last great prop fighter before jets took over. The team performed breathtaking low-altitude maneuvers in it. Pilot Bob Clark became one of its most celebrated demonstrators before the jet age made the Bearcat obsolete overnight. The North American SNJ Texan was used by the Blue Angels in a unique adversary role from 1946 to 1949. Painted to resemble a Japanese Zero to simulate aerial combat for audiences. It was never a frontline fighter, but served as a dramatic theatrical prop. Pilot Johnny Magda flew it in mock dogfights against the Bearcats, thrilling crowds who still remembered the Pacific War with vivid and emotional intensity. The Grumman F9F Panther was the Blue Angels' first jet aircraft, introduced in 1949 and flown until 1954. It marked a revolutionary leap in the team's performance capability. The straight-wing Navy jet had already proven itself in combat over Korea, where Panthers engaged MiG-15s in some of the first jet-versus-jet battles in history. Pilot Johnny Magda led the transition, forever changing what airshow audiences could expect from the legendary. The Lockheed T-33 Shooting Star was used by the Blue Angels as a trainer and support jet from 1952 to 1954. A two-seat development of the famous F-80, it helped transition new pilots into jet operations during a period of rapid technological change. While never a demonstration aircraft itself, the T-33 played a quiet but essential behind-the-scenes role, keeping the team's pilots sharp. The Vought F-7U Cutlass was briefly assigned to the Blue Angels in 1954, but quickly became one of the most troubled aircraft in their history. Its underpowered engines caused constant mechanical failures and dangerous engine fires. The two Cutlasses assigned to the team were returned and relegated to maintenance training. No demonstration flights were ever completed, making it the only aircraft the Blue Angels formally abandoned before performing a single public show. The Grumman F9F Cougar was flown by the Blue Angels from 1955 to 1957, representing a major aerodynamic advancement over the straight-winged Panther with its swept-back wings. It allowed higher speeds and more dramatic maneuvers. Pilot Zeke Cormier led the team during this era, helping develop tighter formations that became the foundation of modern Blue Angels choreography, still recognized and celebrated by airshow crowds around the world today. The Grumman F-11F Tiger was flown by the Blue Angels from 1957 to 1969, their longest tenure with any single aircraft. Sleek and supersonic, it became the iconic image of the team during the space age. Pilot Zeke Cormier helped debut it, and the Tiger performed at countless airshows during the height of the Cold War. In 1958, a Tiger famously shot itself down by flying into its own cannon rounds during a test flight over the skies of New York. The McDonnell Douglas F-4J Phantom II was flown by the Blue Angels from 1969 to 1974, replacing the elegant Tiger with raw, thunderous power. The twin-engine jet was a combat veteran of Vietnam and the heaviest aircraft the team had ever flown. Its immense thrust made for spectacular takeoffs but limited some maneuverability. Pilot Harley Hall led the team during this era and was later lost in combat over Vietnam after returning to active duty service. The Douglas A-4F Skyhawk II was flown by the Blue Angels from 1974 to 1986, chosen after the fuel crisis made operating the massive Phantom too costly. Small, nimble, and incredibly responsive, it became a fan favorite. The single-engine jet allowed the team to perform their tightest formations ever. Pilot Tony Less and later Gil Rudd led memorable seasons, and the Skyhawk era is still remembered fondly as one of the most graceful periods in Blue Angels history. The McDonnell Douglas FA-18 Hornet was flown by the Blue Angels from 1986 to 2020, their longest jet tenure and most iconic modern era. A frontline Navy strike fighter, it brought digital avionics and twin-engine reliability to the team. Pilot Donnie Cochran became the first African-American Blue Angels leader, flying the Hornet in 1987. The aircraft flew through the Gulf War era, September 11th, and generations of airshows, becoming the defining image of the modern Blue Angels for millions of fans worldwide. The Boeing FA-18 Super Hornet has been flown by the Blue Angels since 2021, replacing the legacy Hornet with a larger and more powerful variant of the same iconic aircraft. The transition required extensive retraining as the Super Hornet handles differently despite its familiar appearance. Pilot Alex Armatas led the debut season. The aircraft brings cutting-edge avionics and greater thrust to the team, ensuring the Blue Angels remain at the forefront of naval aviation demonstration excellence worldwide. The Beechcraft JRB Expediter was the very first support aircraft used by the Blue Angels in 1946, carrying equipment and personnel in the team's earliest days. A light twin-engine transport derived from the civilian Beechcraft Model 18, it was quickly replaced by the larger R4D Skytrain due to limited cargo capacity. Though its service was brief, the Expediter holds the distinction of being the original Fat Albert, supporting the team from its very first public performances. The Douglas R4D Skytrain served the Blue Angels as their primary support aircraft from 1947 to 1954, the Navy's version of the legendary C-47 Dakota. It carried spare parts, crew equipment, and ground support personnel to airshows nationwide. Reliable and rugged, the Skytrain had proven itself in World War II, supplying troops across every theater of war. It gave the young Blue Angels team the logistical backbone needed to operate professionally across the entire United States. The Curtiss R5C Commando served the Blue Angels as a support transport in 1953, a large twin-engine cargo aircraft with roots in World War II military logistics. Originally designed for the Marines, it offered greater capacity than earlier transports. The Commando was part of a transitional period as the team upgraded both its demo jets and its support fleet simultaneously. Though little known in Blue Angels history, it helped keep operations running during a critical and rapidly evolving era for the team. The Douglas R-4D8 Super Skytrooper served the Blue Angels from 1955 to 1958, an upgraded and more powerful version of the original R-4D Skytrain. With improved engines and a modernized airframe, it offered better range and payload for the growing team. As the Blue Angels expanded their airshow schedule across the country, reliable transport became increasingly critical. The Super Skytrooper bridged the gap between post-war transports and the more capable aircraft that followed in the team's expanding support fleet. The Douglas R-5D Skymaster served the Blue Angels from 1956 to 1968. A four-engine transport that provided far greater range and capacity than anything the team had used before. The Navy version of the famous C-54, it had carried President Roosevelt during World War II. It allowed the Blue Angels to transport more crew, parts, and equipment to shows farther afield. Its long service life made it one of the most important support aircraft in the team's entire operational history. The Lockheed C-121 Super Constellation served the Blue Angels from 1965 to 1973, one of the most beautiful and distinctive aircraft ever built. Its triple tail and elegant fuselage made it instantly recognizable at any airfield. Originally a presidential and VIP transport, it gave the Blue Angels a glamorous and high-capacity logistics platform. Its retirement marked the end of piston-powered support aircraft in the team's history forever. The Lockheed C-130 Hercules served the Blue Angels from 1970 to 2019 as Fat Albert, one of the most beloved characters in airshow history. The 4-engine turboprop performed its own crowd-pleasing routine, including JATO rocket-assisted takeoffs that drew thunderous applause. Generations of Marine crews flew Fat Albert alongside the jets. Its nearly 5-decade run made it the longest-serving support aircraft in Blue Angels history, becoming as iconic as the jets it supported at every show nationwide. The Lockheed C-130J Super Hercules has served the Blue Angels as Fat Albert since 2020. Replacing the older C-130T with a modern digitally equipped version of the legendary transport. The J model features new turboprop engines, glass cockpit avionics, and improved performance. Though the beloved JATO rocket takeoffs are no longer performed, the Super Hercules continues Fat Albert's tradition of opening each show with its own dramatic low-pass demonstration, thrilling audiences across America. The Boeing C-40 Clipper has supported the Blue Angels since 2020 alongside Fat Albert, serving as a dedicated logistics and personnel transport. It replaced older transport aircraft with a modern fuel-efficient platform. The Clipper carries officers, support staff, and critical equipment to shows nationwide.